Okay, so you have your character sheet out and everything?
Yep.
Perfect. We're going to start with races and then we're going to go into class, background, our roles and then equipment. So, have you read over the races in the core rule book at all? Do you want to play a dwarf, an elf, human, half orc?
I I think there are just too many. Too many races that is just that okay, I pick a couple that, seems to be interesting, read on it. Yeah.
Hmm. I definitely understand that. Do you know we could try metagaming it? Do you know what class you might want to play? If it's dexterity or intelligence or charisma based?
My favorite kind of characters to play tend to be dexterity based.
Okay, so we could try making you an elf.
Sure.
All right, I will make a character sheet with you at the same time, and I will also make an elf. So elves get an ability score increase of 2 to dexterity, and then they get another increase from whatever subrace you pick. I'm also on page 23 of the PDF. Let me know if you want to slow down at all. The
Okay.
subraces are High Elf, Wood Elf, and Dark Elf. Now, those are all three pretty much exactly how their names sound. High Elves are your standard live in big cities. They probably interact with humans the most out of the three. Lots of wizards, spellcasting, standard wood elves. They live in forests. They tend to be a little bit more secluded. And dark elves are traditionally the sort of evil elf subrace. Those guys, they tend to have darker skin. They live underground. The only times they really come up is in raiding parties. But for the sake of this, you can choose whichever one of those three you'd like to do.
I'm gonna go with wood elf.
All right. So for you, you're also going to have a wisdom score increase of 1. I'm going to pick a high elf, so I will have an intelligence increase of 1. And then I thought there was a place to put subrace, but I guess not. So I suppose just write down your subrace in your race.
Hmm.
And then we're going to go through these in the same order that the book has them. So age, you can typically work with your DM on how old you want your character to be, but the book does say that an elf typically claims adulthood and an adult name around 100. So
Hmm.
if you want to be, the equivalency of a young adult, maybe 115 or so.
Hmm.
In
Yes.
turn, hmm?
Where is there? Oh, there. The age is on the second page. Okay.
Yes.
I'm gonna put 120 for mine.
Okay, I will put 115 for mine. Next, we're going to go down alignment. Now, in the games that I run, I don't normally care what alignment you make your character. You have the standard 9. You can be lawful good, lawful evil, chaotic good. However, you really think that your character would be. that's what you would put in alignment. Most DMs that I know, they don't really care exactly, but if you put down that you're a lawful evil character, it might be a little weird that you're giving gold to the homeless or something.
Hmm.
I'll put lawful good down from my alignment. You can choose just about whatever you want. Normally, if it's an evil campaign, you'll want an evil character and so on and so forth.
Where do I find the alignment?
Alignment is on the first page of the character sheet.
Oh, okay, I am blind. Alright,
All
I
right.
have picked chaotic good.
Very nice. I like the chaotic alignments. I feel like they're the easiest ones to roleplay. All right. Next, we're
I,
going to do.
I apologize for the sounds in the background.
No worries. Next is size and speed. Your size, very standard. Most DMs won't get mad at you if you want to play a 4-foot elf for some reason. So you can pretty much put whatever you want in here. I'm just going to make mine 5'10" because I feel like that's plenty tall. Or I believe that's 172 centimeters ish. And then speed, we have base walking speed of 30 feet. Let me know once you're done putting in height and I'll help you find speed on the character sheet.
Yep, I'm done with my height. It seems like the book says 35 feet.
Does your book say 35?
Feet of woods. Is that considered the speed?
Oh, right. I'm sorry. I was looking at the base elf traits. You're right. You have a walking
Ah,
speed of 35 feet.
alright.
So you're just a little bit faster than me. And then speed is up at the top of your character sheet, right below race and alignment.
Mm.
All right. Next, we're doing keen senses. Oh, I'm sorry, dark vision. Next, we're doing dark vision. This basically means that when it's dark, like absolute darkness, no light, you can still see in black and white as if there was like a torch lit.
Mm-hmm.
And then if there is dim light, like a torch, you can still see up to 60 feet away from you. If you want to just write dark vision down under features and traits, you can do that, and then you can write whatever note you want so that you know what it does, your DM knows what it does. Some DMs want you to write down exactly what your features do, some don't. I would say most DMs know what dark vision is, so if you write a note just for you, that's okay too.
Alright.
Next, we have keen senses, which means you have proficiency with the perception skill. Now, what proficiency does is it adds your proficiency bonus to any rolls that you make. And your proficiency bonus is based off of your class, so we'll get into that a little bit more detail later. But for now, just know that you have to mark the little bubble next to perception. And that is under skills, about halfway through.
Alright, got it.
Perfect. Next is Fey Ancestry, which you have advantage on saving throws against being charmed, and magic can't put you to sleep. That basically means if someone were to cast the sleep spell on you, which normally puts people to sleep, you are immune to that.
I see.
Mm-hmm. And if someone were to cast Charm, you would be able to roll twice and take the higher result.
Mm.
And then do remember to write that down in your features and traits. And do tell me if I'm going too slow, if I'm going too fast, let me know and we can either speed up or slow down.
This is great for me.
Perfect. Next is trance. Elves don't need to sleep. Instead, they meditate deeply, remaining semi-conscious for 4 hours a day. While meditating, you can dream after a fashion. Such dreams are actually mental exercises that have become reflexive through years of practice. After resting in this way, you gain the same benefit that a human does from 8 hours of sleep. I think
I wish I could do this in real life.
so do I. It would be really nice to have that extra 4 hours every day.
Yes.
I will say a lot of DMs they run trance differently. Some DMs say that you are actually unconscious for 4 hours a day. Some allow you to remain semi-conscious. So there could be fluctuations with how that goes in campaigns.
Mm. Okay.
Next, we're going to go into languages, and you can speak, read, and write Common and Elvish. Elvish is fluid with subtle intonations and intricate grammar. Elven literature is rich and varied, and their songs and poems are famous among other races. Many bards learn their language so they can add Elvish ballads to their repertoire. So on your character sheet, on the first page in the bottom left where it says other proficiencies in languages, that's where you're going to write Common and Elvish.
Mm.
And then thankfully, it looks like they removed the optional reading and writing in 5th edition, so you do just get to read and write. In previous editions, that was actually a skill you had to take.
Oh.
Yeah, so literacy was a little bit optional, but that's not a problem here. All right, now we'll get into your subrace of Wood Elf. So we got your ability score increase, we got your fleet of foot. Now we're going to do elf weapon training, and that is you have proficiency with the longsword, short bow, and longbow. So if you just want to copy those 4 and put that in the same place that we put the language to show that you are proficient with those 4 weapons, I can repeat them if you need me to.
Actually, where did you find that?
That is in your Wood Elf subrace, right below ability score increase, and then it's elf weapon training. On page 24 of the PDF.
Weapon training. Oh, you have proficiency with the long sword, short sword. Okay.
Yes, perfect. And that again just means that when you use those weapons, you're able to add your proficiency bonus to any attack rolls.
I see.
Mm-hmm. And then lastly, from Wood Elf, you get Mask of the Wind. This is another feature that says you can attempt to hide even when you are only lightly obscured by foliage, heavy rain, falling snow, mist, and other natural phenomena. Normally, to hide, you have to be, reasonably able to be hidden. But because of your wood elf ancestry, you're able to blend in to woodlands more easily, basically.
Mm.
And then for mine, I just have elf weapon training as a high elf.
Mm.
So that's all you get from your race. Do you have any questions about race before we move on to classes?
Not at the moment.
Perfect. All right, next we're going to go to classes. You said you like doing dexterity based ones, so maybe we can look at ranger. There's also, fighter, barbarian. You could be a spellcaster if you wanted to be a cleric.
Mm.
You could even be a bard. Do you know which one sounds appealing just at first glance? I can go through all of them, or we can just go to the ones that you think sound interesting.
Mm. Do you mind repeating the few that yeah?
I can go through all of them real quick. I'm
Sure.
going to read the thread that I posted, so bear with
Okay.
me. Barbarian. More than a mere emotion, their anger is the ferocity of a cornered predator, the unrelating assault of a storm, and the churning turmoil of the sea. Bard. Whether scholar, skald, or scoundrel, a bard weaves magic through words and music to inspire allies, demoralize foes, manipulate minds, create illusions, and even heal wounds. Cleric. No ordinary priest, a cleric is imbued with divine magic. Druid. They claim no mastery over nature. Instead, they see themselves as extensions of nature's indomitable will. Fighter. Questing knights, conquering overlords, royal champions, elite foot soldiers, hardened mercenaries, and bandit kings. As fighters, they all share an unparalleled mastery with weapons and armor, and a thorough knowledge of the skills of combat. Monk. Whatever their discipline, monks are united in their ability to magically harness the energy that flows in their bodies. Whether channeled as a striking display of combat prowess or a subtler focus of defensive ability and speed, this energy infuses all that a monk does. Paladin. Whether sworn before a god's altar and the witness of a priest, in a sacred glade before nature spirits and fey beings, or in a moment of desperation and grief with the dead as the only witness, a paladin's oath is a powerful bond. Ranger. Far from the bustle of cities and towns, past the hedges that shelter the most distant farms from the terrors of the wild, amid the dense packed trees of trackless forests and across wide and empty plains, rangers keep their unending watch. Rogue. Rogues rely on skill, stealth, and their foes' vulnerabilities to get the upper hand in any situation. They have a knack for finding the solution to just about any problem. Sorcerer. Sorcerers carry a magical birthright conferred upon them by an exotic bloodline, some otherworldly influence, or exposure to unknown cosmic forces. One can't study sorcery as one learns a language, any more than one can learn to live a legendary life. Warlock. Drawing on the ancient knowledge of such drawing on the ancient knowledge of beings such as fey nobles, demons, devils, hags, and alien entities of the far realm, warlocks piece together arcane secrets to bolster their own power. Wizard. Wizards are supreme magic users, defined and united as a class by the spells they cast. Their mightiest spells change one substance into another, call meteors down from the sky, or open portals to other worlds. Now, which of those sounds the most appealing?
They're all very appealing. uh, uh, I think I would be most interested in the wizard or sorcerer.
Oh, very nice. Sorcerer is actually my favorite class to play.
All right, then let's go through sorcerer, maybe.
Okay, let's do it. Let me scroll down in the book to Sorcerer. And And again, you are more than welcome to follow along. Okay. Sorcerer. And I am skipping a lot of the flavor text, but you are more than welcome to read it. There's a lot in the book on every class and race, but I am just
Alright.
going over the mechanics unless you ask me to stop.
Alright.
Okay. So the first thing we're going to look at before we read anything for Sorcerer is this table on page, I believe that says 100.
Yep.
Yes.
It's 100.
So we're only making level 1 characters today. So all you need to see is that your proficiency bonus is a +2. So on your character sheet, on the left-hand side at the top where you see proficiency bonus, go ahead and put a 2 there. And then you can see your features, spellcasting and sorceress origin. We'll go into both of those once we start reading below. And then cantrips and spells. I did mention that for the sake of time, I have created spell lists already, so we won't be going into the spells and looking at each one and picking them. But normally, you would be able to pick whatever spells you know. We're just not doing that today. So I am going to grab this spell list that I created real quick. And I'm going to post it in the Discord chat for you. So those are going to be your spells. You don't need to memorize what they do. Those are also more spells than you normally get at level 1, but I wanted to give you a little bit of a variety so that if you wanted to try out other ones, you could. So now we're going to go down to class features. We're going to look at hit points. So you get 1d6 hit dice per sorcerer level. How hit dice work is during short rests, you can roll these hit dice to regain hit points. So on your character sheet, in about the middle of page 1 where it says hit dice, you're just going to put 1d6. And then at the little total bar right at the top of it, you're just going to put 1 for now.
All right.
As well as putting your class up there at the top. Next, we've got hit points at first level. That is 6 plus your constitution modifier. If you want to make a note of that anywhere, that's fine. I'm going to put it in my current hit points. I'm just going to put 6 plus con because we're not going to roll until we're done with the class. That way you know what to do with the numbers you roll. And then your hit points at higher levels, today we're not going to worry about that because we're only doing level 1. But normally when it says 1d6 or 4 plus your constitution modifier, that means that once you hit level 2, you could choose to gain 4 hit points plus your con mod, or you could roll for it. But at first level, you're given the maximum number. All right, and then down to proficiencies. You don't get any proficiency with armor as a sorcerer, but in terms of weapons, you get daggers, darts, slings, quarterstabs, and light crossbows. So you can add those to the note you made earlier from the Elven Weapon Mastery. And you have quite a few options if you choose to use any weapons.
So this proficiencies, just now previously we had we do is it what if in any case where the weapons do overlap in proficiency?
Um, I think I understand the question. So you're you're proficient with daggers. Let's pretend you weren't proficient with daggers. If you picked up a dagger off the ground and you went to stab an enemy with it, your attack bonus would be just your dexterity. But if you were proficient with that dagger, then the attack bonus would be your dexterity and your proficiency bonus. It's basically showing that you know how to use the weapon.
Mm.
Did that answer your
I
question?
uh halfway, but okay. I think what I was my question was more of I don't know if in any case, let's say the race and the class,
Mm-hmm.
the proficiencies overlap, does that gain any boosts or anything like that?
Oh, no, not normally. There's no real expertise for weapons. In very rare cases you can gain stuff like that for stuff like your skills. But for weapons, no. If you get something from multiple sources, then it just means nothing, basically.
I see. So it's actually technically better to just cover bases for like to just collect as many as possible, that kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah, sorta. If you want to do that, there's nothing wrong with it. Normally, as a spellcaster, if you have a dagger, it's your last resort because what you want to do is you want to be casting spells.
True. I see.
Hmm. But if you were like a fighter and you really wanted to be able to throw javelins, hit stuff with your great sword, pull out your short sword and stab the goblin, and then grab a throwing axe and throw it, then maybe you'd want to cover as many bases as possible.
I see.
It just depends on what kind of character you want to make.
Mm.
All right, we're gonna
Okay, yeah,
move.
that answered my question. Yes.
Perfect. We're gonna move to saving throws now, and you are proficient in Constitution and Charisma. So if you just want to fill in the little dots at the top left of your character sheet where it says saving throws.
Mm-hmm.
Now the saving throws are basically just how you avoid stuff. Like if someone drops a rock trap on your head, you'd make a dexterity save to jump out of the way, or maybe a strength save to just pick up the boulder and make sure it doesn't do anything to you.
Mm.
Constitution is, your willpower. If you drink too much at the bar, how much can you drink before you've become shit faced? Stuff like that. All right, then skills. So you can choose two from Arcana, Deception, Insight, Intimidation, Persuasion, and Religion. So
Mm.
you can pick whichever one you want. If you have a question on what any of them do, I can answer that. Most of them, I think, are fairly self explanatory. Arcana would be your ability to look at the cursed book and tell that maybe you shouldn't touch that.
Mm. How different is Arcana from Insight?
So, insight is how you tell if someone is lying to you, being able to read body language, being able to study emotions, basically. Like if I tell you, yeah, I totally did not break into that house. You got to believe me. I'm just in the wrong place at the wrong time. you could roll an insight to see, am I just a really good liar? Was I actually breaking into that house just now?
Mm. All right, I've chosen my 2 skills.
All right. I am going to choose Arcana and Persuasion, I think.
I've chosen Arcana and Insight.
Very nice. All right. Now down to equipment. You start with the following equipment in addition to the equipment granted by your background. We will get to backgrounds.
All right.
So we get a light crossbow and 20 bolts or any simple weapon, a component pouch or an arcane focus, a dungeoneer's pack or an explorer's pack, and 2 daggers. So I'm going to start at the bottom and work my way up. So we're going to put the 2 daggers in our equipment. That's in the bottom middle of your character sheet on the first page. And then you can also add dagger to your attack, and we will go over the attack bonus and the damage and type once we get a little more into equipment later.
All right.
And then a dungeoneer's pack or an explorer's pack. Now I made an equipment thread. You don't have to read it. A lot of times what I like to do when I'm making a character is I ask my DM which one's going to be more useful. Because a dungeoneer's pack, it's great. It has a crowbar, hammer, tinderbox, rations, all this wonderful stuff. But if your DM's going to tell you, well, you're never going to need a hammer, you're never going to need a crowbar, you're never going to need to climb anything, then it's not very useful.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, the explorer's pack, that one's pretty standard. That one has a backpack, bedroll, tinderbox, torches, rations. It's just your standard pack. So for this one, we're both just going to go with the explorer's pack. And you can just write explorer's pack down in your equipment. And then it's not required to know what's in it all the time. You just have to remember that, if you want to make a camp, you've got a bedroll. You've got a backpack to put stuff in. You have the ability to light a fire. And some DMs make you keep track of rations. I don't.
Huh.
All right.
Interesting. Okay.
The next one is a component pouch or an arcane focus. This one is also really reliant on the DM. Some DMs, if a spell says you need to have 2 rusty nails and an egg to cast this spell, your DM wants you to have those rusty nails and an egg. Other DMs, they say it's pretty reasonable that you found some nails and an egg at some point. I'm not going to make you carry all that stuff around. So for this one, we're going to go with an arcane focus. Arcane focus sort of take the place of low-level spells and their components. You can channel through the arcane focus to cast your spells, basically.
Mm.
And then I do believe at the top where I skipped, no, there's not a table. Sometimes for your arcane focus, there's a table that gives you ideas of what to have your arcane focus as. It could be as simple as a book, a small gem that's not really worth anything. Anything that you flavor-wise think your sorcerer would be channeling their spells through.
Mm. Interesting.
Mm-hmm. And then next we've got a light crossbow and bolts or any simple weapon. So We are proficient in crossbows, so if you wanted to have a crossbow, you could, or we could look at the simple weapons. And that is stuff that doesn't really require a lot of thought. Clubs, daggers, hand axes, hammers.
Mm.
I know for me, I think I'm going to do the light crossbow, something that I don't think really comes into play early on is the fact that you can get into non magical situations where someone is casting a anti magic field. And then if
Mhm.
you want a ranged option, you'd better have a mundane ranged option.
Mm.
And then that is equipment. Now we're going to go into spell casting, cantrips, spell slots, and spells known. Like I said, I've sort of taken your freedom away for this time, but normally you would read this, you would see that you know 4 cantrips of your choice, you'd go to the sorcerer spell list and pick 4 from the list. Same with your spells known, and then spell slots. So back up at that chart at the top,
Mhm.
we have that spell slots per spell level. So that says
Mhm.
you have 2 first level spell slots. Now, what spell slots are is that's basically how many times you get to cast those per long rest. So per 4-hour transit night.
So it would be for at level 1, I would be able to cast 2 spells out of the 4 cantrips only.
No, cantrips can be cast an unlimited number of times. If you want
Oh,
to
okay.
just keep on casting cantrips every single turn, you are more than welcome to. The spell slots only affect the actual spells with levels to them.
I see.
Mm-hmm. So
Okay,
in
so
that,
just to confirm my understanding, at level 3, um, oh, yeah, okay, I don't. Okay, because at level 3, I see spells known for, then there's spell slots per spell level, first and second.
mm-hmm,
So, sorry if I'm jumping a bit further.
you're
Um,
fine.
so the 4 spell slots, what's the difference between the first level and second level? Or yeah, I'm getting very
So
confused with
you're
this.
fine. You're fine. So when you go to look at spells, spells have different levels to them. Like a first level spell is Ice Knife. It does a little bit of damage. A second level spell might be. Uh, I can't name any second level spells off the top of my head. So we're just going to pretend it's Ice Knife also.
Okay.
But the difference would be that the level 2 one does a lot more damage.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can choose 4 different spells at level 3 that you know, and those could be either first or second level spells, but you couldn't cast your more powerful second level spells with a first level spell slot. Does that make sense? So if you had like Magic Missile as one of your first level spells and you wanted it to do more damage, you could cast it using a second level spell slot, or you could cast it
Ah,
using a first level spell slot.
oh, so that means it's just how so what I'm saying, the spell slots per spell level, it means that it's how many you can cast within a 4-hour period.
Per long rest, you just
Very long, right?
have to sleep for 4 hours because you're an elf instead of 8.
Ah, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I see.
Yeah.
So if I wanted to cast a magic missile at level 2,
Mm-hmm.
I can only cast 2 of them at the most.
Yes. But you could
Okay.
cast 6 in one day if you also used your first level spell slots.
Oh, okay. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, yes. Right, you have answered my question.
Very good. All right. So now we're going to go a little bit down. Like I said, you're more than welcome to read more about spell slots, spells known at first level and higher. But we're going to jump down to spell casting ability for now. And we're going to read Charisma is your spellcasting ability for your sorcerer spells, since the power of your magic relies on your ability to project your will into the world. You use your charisma whenever a spell refers to your spellcasting ability. In addition, you use your charisma modifier when setting the saving throw DC for a sorcerer spell. So you see those little equations down there. Your spell save DC is 8 plus proficiency plus charisma.
Mm-hmm.
So on the third page of your character sheet, this is where spells are going to go. So you can write sorcerer in your spellcasting class, as well as spellcasting ability, which for us will be 10 plus your charisma, which we don't have yet. And then your spell save DC. Oh no, that's the one that's 10. I apologize.
No worries.
The DC is 10 plus your charisma modifier. I misread. I was thinking that was a little bit high. And then your spell attack modifier is proficiency plus charisma. So that one will be 2 plus charisma.
Mm. Okay.
I think I've misled you. That's your spell attack bonus, not spell casting ability. Your spell casting ability is charisma. This is why we
Oh.
read. Sorry, it's been a little while since I've played a spellcaster.
Don't worry about it.
All right. And I do believe. Okay, no, now we need to choose a sorceress origin. Choose a sorceress origin which describes the source of your innate magical power, draconic bloodline, or wild magic. So you get a little bit extra from these at level 1. And I always choose draconic bloodline because I think dragons are really cool. That one's pretty simple. You know, your great 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 grandma might have been a dragon.
Mm.
So you just got a little bit of that dragon in you. Wild
Ah.
magic, you know, is it's much more natural. Like there's not really an explanation for how it happened. Just something might have happened to you. You touched the cursed book that you weren't supposed to touch, and now you're a sorcerer.
Mm.
Or you could have been born that way, you know.
Would this be kind of like would the options that I choose be how would it affect a typical gameplay?
So, typical gameplay, if you were to choose a draconic bloodline, the biggest gameplay effect would be that you have a breath weapon, and then you you're basically like if you chose to be a red dragon, you know, you get a fire attack. Then
Oh.
when you get to a higher level, you're also resistant to that same element, so
Mm.
you would become resistant to fire.
Mm.
You also get increased AC, so it means you're a little bit harder to hit than normal sorcerers.
Mm-hmm.
If you chose wild magic, that one is pretty funky because that means you have to look at this really big table on page 104.
Oh,
So, so every time you roll a spell or you use a spell, you have to roll on this table to see what happens.
oh my.
So that is the biggest gameplay effect of wild magic is who knows what's going to happen. 85 to 86 is you also cast mirror image.
Oh my.
You might
Uh,
lose all of your hair.
I have to get a D100 for this.
The good news is
Oh, okay.
most DMs I know will allow you to just like do a quick Google search of roll a D100
Yeah.
if you choose wild magic, so that way you can just do it really quickly.
Okay. You cast Fireball as a third level spell centered on yourself, so you self attack
Yeah,
in this
and
case. Oh
everybody
boy.
that's around you, I believe fireball is a 20-foot radius. So that is 40 feet of fireball that now everybody that was standing right next to you has to deal with as well.
Oh god. Okay, so it's not necessarily all good. It's
Some of it kind of bad, some of it's good.
okay. I shall read more on this. Okay, I see why you choose Draconic Bloodline.
Wild magic, it's fun. It's really fun because you don't really know what's going to happen.
Oh, but this would be very, very fun. Chaotic. Yes.
until until you're level 1 and you roll the fireball immediately on your first spell.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I think for the sake of this, I'm going to go wild magic.
Oh, okay.
Just to
I shall
see
go
what
with Wild
happens.
Magic too. And where do we put that?
That's a good question. I think just put it in your class. Just put wild magic sorcerer.
Alright.
I know some sheets are different. You know, some sheets might have places for your sub race, your subclass. I think the one on Roll20 does. But in this case, we're just using the standard Dungeons and Dragons sheet.
Mm.
Okay, so you're going Draconic?
I'm gonna go with Wild Magic like you.
Perfect. All right, we'll both do wild magic then.
Alright.
Okay. Your innate magic comes from the wild forces of chaos that underlie the order of creation. You might have endured exposure to some form of raw magic, perhaps through a planar portal leading to Limbo, the elemental planes, or the mysterious far realm. Perhaps you were blessed by a powerful fey creature or marked by a demon. Or your magic could be a fluke of your birth, with no apparent cause or reason. However it came to be, this chaotic magic churns within you, waiting for an outlet. All right, starting when you choose this origin, your spellcasting can unleash surges of untamed magic. Immediately after you cast a sorcerer spell of first level or higher, the DM can have you roll a d20. If you roll a 1 on the wild magic surge table, if you roll a 1, roll on the wild magic surge table to create a random magical effect. Okay, so it's not every single time. There's some prerequisites to it, but it's still a good time.
Okay, so if the DM forgets to tell you to roll, you can pretend it never happened.
Exactly, and then just don't remind them. All right, starting at first level, you can manipulate the forces of chance and chaos to gain advantage on one attack roll, ability check, or saving throw. Once you do so, you must finish a long rest before you can use this feature again. Anytime before you regain the use of this feature, the DM can have you roll on the Wild Magic Surge table immediately after you cast a sorcerer spell of first level or higher. You then regain the use of this feature. So this is one of the things that we will write down in the features and traits. And it is Wild Magic Surge. And then again, of course, you can write however many or as little notes that you want to put in there so that you know what it does, so that you remember. And the attack rolls, that does include spell attack rolls, unless your DM says otherwise.
All right.
And then that is as far as we are going to go into the class, because the next thing you get is at level 6.
All right.
So now we're going to go into backgrounds. And the reason I didn't make any sort of a thread for this to make it a little bit easier was because I just felt like there were a lot of options and I didn't want to limit anybody to them. So I can tell you that if there's not one in the book, we can find it. You know, like if you want to have the soldier background, noble background, we can do that. It's mostly just what do you want your character to have been doing before now? There's acolyte. Acolyte's a good cop out. That's probably what I'm going to do.
I have actually not done this part before because it was just a one shot.
Mm-hmm.
So I shall go with yours.
Okay. I'll read Acolyte to you. I'm on page 127 of the PDF now.
Okay.
You spent your life in the service of a temple to a specific god or pantheon of gods. You act as an intermediary between the realm of the holy and the mortal world, performing sacred rites and offering sacrifices in order to conduct worshippers into the presence of the divine. You are not necessarily a cleric. Performing sacred rites is not the same thing as channeling divine power. Choose a god, pantheon of gods, or some other quasi-divine being from among those listed in Appendix B or those specified by your DM, and work with your DM to detail the nature of your religious service. Were you a lesser functionary in a temple, raised from childhood to assist the priests of the sacred rites? Or were you a high priest who suddenly experienced a call to serve your god in a different way? Perhaps you were the leader of a small cult outside of any established temple structure, or even in a cult group that served a fiendish master that you now deny. Does that sound wonderful to you?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. So we get 2 skill proficiencies from this, insight and religion. So here's where you sort of have to work with your DM. Because you get insight twice, some DMs will say choose a different one. Some DMs will say you now get expertise in insight, which basically doubles your proficiency bonus. I normally have players just choose a different one. So for you, become proficient in religion and another one of your choice.
Ah.
But that's one where if you did double up, you would just talk to your DM. They might have you choose a different one from your race and class, for instance. And then we get 2 more languages. I'll say we're probably not going to bother with 2 other languages for this, just because it's a one-off. They won't really come into play. But you could choose anything from, Orcish, Dwarven, Gnomish, Jotun, which is the language of giants, Fiendish, Infernal. As long as your DM allows it, you could be able to speak pretty much whatever you wanted because there are no restrictions on the two of your choice.
Hmm.
Mhm. And then for
Um, hold on. I am trying to find the where can I put in my background?
sorry, very top of the first
Oh, right.
page.
Okay, good. Great. I have it in.
Okay, perfect. Did you put in your skill proficiencies as well?
Skill proficient. Yes, I'd have.
Okay, wonderful. Next, we are going to do equipment, which is a holy symbol, a prayer book, 5 sticks of incense, vestments, clothes, and a belt pouch containing 15 gold. Now, you don't have to write down any of that right here if you don't want to, because again, it really won't come into play. It might even make more sense if you don't have equipment on you, just for the story that I have written.
All right.
But normally you would write that down just so that if your DM asks what you have, you can tell them.
Mm.
And then, of course, 15 gold is 15 gold, so that goes in your GP over there in equipment.
Okay.
Perfect. And then that's background. Background is the easiest part of the entire character creation.
Mm.
And now we get to do the fun part. Now we get to roll. So, what I will say about rolling for stats is every DM does it differently. So, if you're creating a character just to create a character, do take note of the fact that most DMs want you to roll in front of them. They want to see the rolls, and so if you make stats for your character before a game, you're probably going to be made to redo them.
Okay.
That's also why we did stats last here,
Mm.
because that way you know how to do everything else, because stats are the one thing that you're probably going to do in front of your DM every time anyway.
I see.
So the way I have people roll for stats is I have them roll 2d6 plus 6 because I like my characters to be more powerful. I like being able to put them up against more powerful things. So in the
I see.
Discord chat, I'm going to put in a roll, and you are more than welcome to just copy me or put it in yourself. And if I had been slightly more prepared, I would have done this beforehand. Okay. I rolled quite terribly, for the record.
Oh, that is a lot.
That's why I was saying if you just want to copy and paste that, it's fine. All we care about are the numbers at the end.
Okay.
Perfect.
Mine looks worse than
Oh,
yours.
it does look just a little bit worse than mine, but that's okay. If we both rolled terribly, we'll both just be on the same level. It's fine. Okay. So now you're going to take those last numbers. For you, it was 14, 8, 13, 16, 12, and 12. And you're going to allocate those however you want. So we are a charisma class. I recommend putting your highest number into charisma because that's what all of your spells are based off of. Charisma also delegates how good you are at talking to people.
Mm.
And then after that, you can sort of do what you want with the rest of the stats. Constitution, of course, it's going to decide your hit points. If we had chosen the Draconic Bloodline, I believe their AC is based off of Dex as well, so Dex could have been an option.
Mm.
And then if you have any questions about the different stats, I can answer those to help you figure out where to put your stats.
All right.
I'm going to put mine in real quick. And then remember too, those bonuses you got from being a wood elf, those get added on to whatever you roll. So if you put I believe you got a +2 to dexterity. So if you put one of your 14s into dex, that would be a 16.
Gotcha. Okay, I've got mine done.
Very good. You're ahead of me. I'm still working on it.
No worries.
Okay. So now, if you see that little circle below, so every even number above 10 in your stat counts as 1 point that you would put towards rolls. So if you have, what is your strength modifier? Or what is your strength?
I don't even have it in under saving throws, right?
No, not
Or
saving throw. Sorry,
oh,
the
okay,
big boxes to the
strength
left.
12. 12.
So your modifier would be a 1 because the +2 above 10 gives you 1 point. If it was a 14, you would have 2 points, 16 would be 3, and so on.
So you would put like previously the race and the class modifiers, would you put them in the circle underneath it, or would you put them directly into the box?
If I were filling this character sheet out in person, I would just write like a little 2 in pencil somewhere. For this, what I did was I put a 2 just in the dexterity so that I knew that I'd have to add a 2 later.
Ah, okay. That makes sense.
And then, of course, if you have a 10, then it's 0. Yours below a 10, it starts to get -1, -2.
Mm. So it's just regardless of whether it's over 10, you plus 1, over 14, or this, there is no difference.
There is a difference. Like if it's sorry, what was the question?
So we are going through the bonus stats now, is it? Right? Is that what you guys call it?
We're still going through the main attributes. So those big squares to the left that say strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence.
Yeah.
On your
So I'm referring to the bubble below because
yeah.
that's where you add your bonuses, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So is it all above anything that as long as it's above 10 is a +1?
No, so 10 is a 0, or let me start at the lowest number. So a 0, you would be dead, but a 1 would be a -5, a 2 would be
Ah,
-5, a 4 would be -4, 6 would be -3, 8 would be
is
-2.
is
No,
there a
sorry, I
place
was
where
1 off.
no worries. Is there a place where I can refer to it on the PDF?
Um, I believe so. In the very beginning, on page 173, we'll try there. I went too far.
Ooh, the PDF is loading really slowly.
Okay. ability checks. Okay. Trying to see where it tells you exactly what the bonus is. It's got the typical difficulty classes.
Ah, it has loaded. I see it.
I'm not sure this goes into detail about the bonus itself, but it is just every 2 points gives you a modifier. So at 10, it's 0, and then 12 is 1, 14 is 2, 16 is 3, 18 is 4, and 20 is 5.
I see. Okay.
I'm sure that's somewhere in the book, but I'm not sure where it is.
Here is on page 173.
Does it say in there?
I think it's this one.
Let me know once you have your bonuses. Oh, good, you do have it. I'm just blind, so I'm glad that you're not.
It's okay. Well, I think there's a lot of things going on, so uh, yeah. I mean, yeah.
Hmm.
That's the two of us. So
Together, we'll figure it out.
yes, yes.
Oh, good, it goes over proficiency bonus as well. All right, so once you have the modifiers in your little bubble, you can go through your saving throws and your skills and input a number in each of those. So for me, my strength is a 9, so it's a -1. So for my saving throws, I would put a -1 in strength. My dexterity is a 12, so I would put a 1 in dexterity. For constitution, because we are proficient in it, you would also add your proficiency bonus. So for me, that would just be a 2 because my constitution is an 11. But then so on and so forth down the list.
Mm. All right. I've got mine down.
Cool. You're ahead of me, so we'll just keep going. Alright, and we did equipment earlier. So now, remember your current hit points where we had it at 6 plus con?
Yes.
Now we can add your constitution modifier there. So whatever your constitution is, of course, if it's a 12, that's a 1. You just add that to the 6 from before.
All right.
And then down at the third page, you'll input your charisma into those numbers. So, 10 plus whatever your charisma modifier is, and then 2 plus whatever your charisma modifier is.
That is in current hit points, right?
The hit points, yes.
So what would it mean if I have a hit point maximum of 7 and my current hit points are 19? Did I get it the other way around?
Your hit point maximum and your current hit points should both be 7. And then on the third page, that's where you're putting in your charisma modifier into your spell save DC and your spell attack bonus.
Oh, so okay. Behind there is like 10 plus your charisma points. That is for my charisma, I have 16 plus 3. That would be 10 plus
Mm-hmm.
wait 16 19, right? Or just 16. Oh yeah.
10 plus 3 would just be 13.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, 13. Had to make sure I wasn't misleading you there. And then, did you write down the cantrips and the spells from before?
Yes, I've copied them over.
Okay, perfect. I'm going to do that real quick. And then just bear with me. Okay. So now that that's done, let me just look over the character sheet real quick. Make sure I didn't forget anything. Because I think we're done, but I don't want to say we're done. No, we're not done. Because I didn't take you through the attack bonus and the damage type of our dagger and light crossbow.
Oh, also, just question: saving throws, and skills. So I've marked the crosses next to the skills.
Mm-hmm.
So the numbers that I fill in there should be the bonus points, right?
Yes, unless
Okay.
you have it marked that you have proficiency in it, then you
Oh,
not only get the bonus, you also get the proficiency bonus. So for Arcana, uh, what is your intelligence?
for Arcana. Oh, my eyes. Arcana. Okay, my intelligence is 12 plus 1. So that would be 1, right?
That would be 3, because I believe you made yourself proficient in Arcana, right?
Yes.
Yes, so you would take not only the 1, but you would also add your proficiency bonus to it.
Ah, okay. So, and everything that is marked in those two boxes would be um proficiency plus the modifier.
Yes, exactly.
And those that are not marked, it's just the bonus itself.
Yes.
So my strength would be technically -1.
I'm right there with you.
Okay, I can fill that in later.
Very nice. I am slowly filling mine in as well. I always feel like it goes a little better if you do it by the modifier. So like if I do all of my dex skills first and then my wisdom skills and then intelligence and so on and so forth. But you
Mm.
can fill it in however is easiest for you.
All right.
And then I do believe, oh yeah, armor class and initiative. So we don't have any clothes on. Well, we have just clothes on, but no armor. So our
Mhm.
armor class is just going to be the flat 10. And then initiative right next to it, that's going to be your dexterity modifier. So for me, I have a 12 there, so I'm just putting a 1.
Okay. Mm. All right.
And now I think we're done. Some DMs, there's a little passive wisdom box over there. I don't deal with passive wisdom because it's a little bit confusing, even for players who have been playing the game for a really long time. Basically, what it means is you, if there's like a difficulty 5 check to see some footprints on the road, you would just
Mm,
automatically be able to see those if your passive wisdom was a 10. So
mm,
it takes away some rolls. It makes things a little easier. Some DMs do it, some DMs don't. I don't do it, so that's why we're just not going to worry about it.
I see.
And then we're going to do the dagger and the light crossbow. I believe you chose the same ones as me, right?
Yes.
Perfect. All right, let me go to the simple ranged weapons. We'll do the light crossbow first. So I believe crossbows all go off of strength. They don't go off
Boy.
of dexterity. Yeah, so I'm right there with you. So our attack bonus with them is going to be a 1. And that's because we are proficient in them, so we would get a +2, but then our strength just brings it back down.
Mm.
Then the dagger, we're going to be much better if we ever have to use the dagger. Daggers, they can go off of either strength or dex. So those are going to be, I'm assuming, also dexterity based for you. So for that attack bonus, it would just be 2 plus whatever your dexterity modifier is.
All right.
And then for damage, we're going to put, for the dagger, 1d4 and then plus your dexterity modifier.
Okay.
And then I forgot to do damage for the crossbow, but the crossbow, it would be 1d8 minus 1.
Because of our strength
Yeah.
modifier. I see.
Don't ask me why strength affects the crossbow bolt, but it does.
We can't pull back the string, man. Too weak.
I feel that. I feel that. They're hard in real life, too.
Yeah.
Okay, let me just go through here, make sure we have everything filled out, make sure I haven't forgotten anything. I do believe that we have made it through character creation. Do you have any questions about character creation?
Yes. On my character sheet there is inspiration.
Mm-hmm.
Um, is that also something that that some DMs don't use or most DMs don't use?
So, inspiration boils down to you did something the DM really likes, so they're going to give you a point. And
Oh.
with that inspiration point, Uh, some DMs do it differently. The most common way to use inspiration is that it gives you advantage on something of your choice. So if you really needed that spell attack to land on the evil bad guy, you would use your inspiration point to roll twice and take the highest result.
Mm.
Other DMs make that inspiration point a natural 20. So it's an automatic crit. You know, you could use that on your insight check, arcana. It doesn't have to be an attack roll, but that is what inspiration is. I have never known a DM to not use inspiration, but it's mostly a hey, you just role played the hell out of your character. I absolutely love what you did. Here's an inspiration point. Use it however you want.
Mm. All right. Cool.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Uh, thing. Nope. Treasure
Perfect.
is usually or like if when you get something from the quest itself, right?
Yeah, that's where you'd put like hey, we just went into this dungeon. We found like 10 gold coins worth of gems. You would put
Mm.
10 GP of gems in your treasure.
Ah, okay. Yep, that's all the questions I have. Oh, wait, there is one more.
No worries.
Under equipment, there is CP, SP, EP, GP is gold, and PP.
Yes.
So, do you know what those stand for?
Yes. So CP is copper pieces. 100 of those is 1
Oh,
gold. SP is silver pieces. 10 of those is 1 gold. EP is electrum pieces. I believe 5 of those is 1 gold. I've never actually known a DM to use electrum.
hmm.
And then platinum pieces is the PP at the bottom. That is, I believe, 1 platinum equals 100 gold pieces.
Ah, why do we not just use dollars and cents here?
Well, if you think about it, you can break down the copper, silver, electrum, and gold into dollars and cents. The
True.
gold coin could be $1, EP is a quarter, and then dime, and then pennies.
Yeah, fair enough.
It's not too bad. The conversion's pretty easy once you get used to it.
Mm.
And then, like I said, most DMs they don't use electrum, so you'll just be dealing in copper, silver, and gold most of the time, unless you get really endgame into platinum.
Mm. All right. Yep. That's all of them. That I have all the questions.
Perfect.
Okay. Wait. I think this is not very important, but the death saves all this.
Yeah. So when you get downed in D&D, when you get taken to 0 hit points, you get stabbed, you're dying, you go down, and then you have to roll if somebody doesn't come help you. So on your first turn or subsequent turns, every DM does death saves a little bit differently. You just roll
Mm.
a flat d20, and if you roll above a 10, that's a success. If you roll below a 10, that's a failure. Now, if nobody
Mm.
comes and helps you, you need either 3 successes to get back up or 3 failures, and then your character is just dead. It basically signifies
Oh,
you just bled out.
wow.
Yeah. So that is what death saves are.
I see. Okay. Well, okay, that is really the last question. I really have no more questions.
I will say too, there is a mechanic in D&D where if you get hit for twice your health point maximum, or if you get taken to -7, then you are
Mhm.
just dead. You don't get death saving throws.
Oh.
But I would say that doesn't really come into play until later unless your DM decides that the enemies are going to kick you while you're already down. And most DMs I know don't do
Mm.
that.
That is one sadistic DM.
All right. I think that concludes the character creation part. Unless I'm missing something, but I don't think I am.
I don't think you are.